Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the A to B podcast, your number one source for military entertainment and entrepreneurship. Guys, we are back with part 2 of this episode. If you guys haven't seen part 1, I highly suggest that you see part 1. We had such an amazing conversation. We didn't even get after like boot camp, like with Isaac over here, okay? Guys, like always, make sure that you guys like, follow, subscribe, comment, and you hit that bell notifications to ensure that you get all future podcast episodes that we upload. Guys, make sure that you guys go follow Barry Bull and all social media in all social media platforms, because like always, I am joined with Barry in all of my episodes. Barry, how are you doing today, man?
I just been praying,
Well, we just got done sharing some crazy ass stories. Like I
didn't say any stories.
I haven't even heard like half of the stories that you've been sharing. Isaac is over here like, man, I'm gonna be able to do all these things to recruit.
Because he's getting ready to be a drill instructor.
Right.
And last episode we talked a lot about your boot camp experience. We talked about prior to the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. So this episode we really want to jump into that first enlistment.
Yep, we're gonna be jumping right on it. So let's get right to it, man. So I try to kind of go on it, and obviously, man, like you are a poster child for what it means to be a Marine. Okay.
Yes, sir.
You are a single sergeant, squared away. Okay. So what led you early on in your career, like when you were like a PFC and Lance Corporal, to want to be this squared away sergeant?
Good leadership. So I'll give a couple shout outs. They probably will never see this, but it starts with my drill instructor, the senior, Gunnery Sergeant Dino. He was so squared away. I wanted to emulate and be like him. Then my follow-on school, when I got to, the TSOC days at McSess or whatever, 29 Palms, my instructor there, Sergeant Garcia, phenomenal, PT stud, not just that, but super knowledgeable at his MOS. And then I go to Fort Gordon for another follow-on school, and then I have Sergeant Bailey, another stud. So having all these good leaders and seeing basically, like you gave me the title of being a poster child, these were the poster childs in my eyes, looking at them. And then when I hit the fleet, First Sergeant Ashanti Gregory, who I think he's a Sergeant Major Select now, he is one of the real leaders that actually like took me under his lead because he saw that I had an aspiration to want to be a leader and to want to not just like be GP. Because a lot of people will go, they'll hit the fleet, and this is sad to see, but they'll hit the fleet, and all that time, all that preparation, and all that stuff that was put into them, they'll let it go to waste. They'll literally let the potential go to waste. They'll burn out by getting to the fleet. But I wasn't like that. I didn't burn out. I was like, I know this is only the beginning, and I want to be better than everyone, or I want to strive to be the best. So I was hanging out with I was trying to pick the brains of the senior corporals, the senior sergeants, people that had a billet or some type of authority, because that's who I wanted to be like. I didn't want to just be regular, and you should never want to be regular. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being regular, but I just wasn't that.
Let me ask you a quick question on that, because you touched on something early on. It sounds like, for your experience, it was important. Appearance was important, and PT was important, and just general knowledge and what those particular leaders were doing. You mentioned your drill instructor and instructors in the schoolhouse. But as you matured in your first contract, it included that, but also kind of, matured into more development. Is that true? Like you have leaders pull you in and talk to you.
Yes, sir. They did definitely pull me in and talk to me, but also you have to seek that out. You can't just expect.
Very good point.
You can't just expect people to come and just pull you up. Nothing is gonna be handed to you. You gotta go and seek that out. Mm-hmm. So if you see a hidden gem or a star somewhere, you should go and talk and be like, hey, how are you a star? You got to do that.
Well, that's what West Coast Marines do. I've noticed.
That is East Coast. I don't know about.
Let me time out. So because I do have a question, and I want to interrupt Barry before he goes on a tangent.
I would never.
So. I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, obviously, you're talking about seeking out leadership and all of these things, right? But is that something that you feel is born within you, or do you feel that that's something that Marines really need to understand when they come into the unit? Because I feel that there's an expectations there's an expectation of Marines, like, oh well, the staff sergeant is supposed to do this, the corporal is supposed to do this, because in reality, when you first hit the fleet, that's your first real, introduction. Because let's be honest, you just said that a first sergeant, that was your first like look up to person when you hit the fleet. But what about the corporals? What about the sergeants?
Good question.
Very good question. I don't know. I feel like that's actually a challenging question to answer. I just had that drive and that initiative, and a lot of people lack that. But you just have to have that call to want to be greater and just to want to be the best. So
they were. Well, so let's be honest. Like, were they great? Like in your first duty station, your corporals and sergeants, like, how were they? Did you surpass them? Are they your peers?
Yeah. Did they suck? And then you were like, you know what? I'm looking to the next great leader, and it's not them.
Excuse me. I'm not gonna say that they sucked, but some of them didn't give me the time or the day, or they didn't want to develop. They did not want to develop juniors. They didn't want to develop subordinates. They just wanted to hold all of their knowledge to themselves and be selfish.
What does develop mean, please?
They didn't want to put their energy and time to build me up. They just wanted to hog all that knowledge so that I couldn't either have so that they're the go-to person. They didn't want to be replaced, basically. And I'm not just saying that with me, I'm saying that with anybody.
Yeah, sure.
And that's the problem that you can run into. And then that's when you have a knowledge gap or a knowledge drop off. Because what happens when you find out that person doesn't want to re-enlist? And now that person only has that skill set and that knowledge, and you never taught it to the other people.
Yeah.
And you're screwed.
Yeah, but and that right there that you hit, it's the point that I want to bring. Because at the beginning of the conversation, you said, I seeked that information out.
Yes,
right? And then you followed on with that saying like, well, these people didn't want to teach. But then what happens with a lot of people is like, well, my corporal doesn't want to teach me. Like, my corporal never did this. And then they tend to blame other people. But how about you as an individual, you take responsibility. And it's like, dude, the information's out there. Guess fucking what?
Yeah.
Guess where that information is? In the fucking manual that's 500 pages long and you do not want to read.
So what you're saying, Albert, if I'm correct, is Isaac took it the step further and took his own career by the balls.
Correct.
And made some stuff happen.
Correct. And that's what essentially you need to do as a
unless you don't
member.
have balls. And that's okay.
And that's okay. That's okay. We are
figurative balls, guys.
Yeah.
Guts. I'll say guts.
Guts, yes. Intestinal fortitude. How about we go with that? Okay.
That's right.
So yeah, dude. So how do you feel about that?
I mean, I agree. I did take it a step further, but that what you just said, Albert, is the truth. It is out there, and I wanted to get. I know the type of learner I am, and I know the type of person I am. So I wanted to get it from a human versus going to the TAMs or the training manuals and stuff like that, and looking at how to operate the gear, because the gear that we work on is satellite gear, and it's just easier if you see it visually done versus reading how to do the steps. Like, it's a pain.
No, I got that. But right now, we're not really focusing on MOS proficiency. Like, MOS proficiency specifically when you're a PFC and Lance Corporal is very important. But that's at the early ranks. So when you're a corporal and you're a sergeant, that's really not what's going to make you or break you. That's definitely going to help you, but that's not what's going to make you or break you. Because the reason why I say that is I remember his name is Jesus Vela. And I'm not talking about Corporal Vela, the Marine that was under my charge. I'm talking about another Jesus Vela when I was in artillery. You know what he taught me? I was a Lance Corporal. We were very good friends. I was a Lance Corporal. He was a Corporal. And I felt at least that I was a fuck up as a Lance Corporal. I felt like I was always getting fucking screamed at as a Lance Corporal. There was not a day that I was not being screamed at as a Lance Corporal.
Why did you feel that way?
Because there was not a day that I was not getting screamed at as a Lance Corporal.
Were you legitimately and
I was not afraid to take initiative, but sometimes my initiative landed me in hot waters because it was like, get your ass back in fucking place. That is not your responsibility. Like, I was always that one dude that's like, well, if I know that this shit needs to get done, but that's not how shit works in artillery. Okay? Like, you have to have some type of position of authority in order for you to call some shots. And I felt like, as a Lance Corporal, that I wanted to call some shots, but turns out that 95% of the times it was the wrong shots to make, or the timeliness of it did not. Sure. But you know what really helped me out? We were on deployment, and Corporal Vela told me, here, you're gonna learn this. And not only you're gonna fucking memorize this, but you are going to fucking live by that example. And you, by that time in 2010, it was the NCO creed. And guess what? To this day, I still know the fucking NCO creed, and every single time as a corporal and as a sergeant, I will let myself in hot waters for wanting to fucking hold Marines accountable. It was like, well, why do you do that? Because that's what is expected of me as a fucking NCO of Marines. I was like, what do you mean by that? Well, I am an NCO dedicated to training new Marines and influencing the old. I am forever conscious of each Marine under my charge, and by example, I will inspire him to the highest standard possible. I will strive to be patient. I was patient with the Marine. Understanding. I try to understand the Marine. And firm. I'm being firm with the Marine. I will never forget that I'm responsible to the commanding officer for the morale, discipline, and efficiency of my Marines because their performance is a reflection of me. So if you're going to fucking chew my ass for me trying to hold the Marine to the same standard that I hold myself to, go ahead. And this is the type of conversations that I would have as a corporal. And I still thank you, Vela, for holding me to that standard. That's the reason why I say that. It's because if as an NCO, you gotta, if you don't know the basics, how can you expect to be doing more advanced shit? That's what I was taught. That's what I was taught very early on. It's like, if you cannot.
So it sounds like you use the NCO creed as a bit of a baseline and a standard for you to reflect back and say, you know, am I doing these things?
Correct.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
And I never got in trouble, by the way.
I did the same thing as a sergeant major. I would usually, I would always take my leaders through the fitness report. You want big letters, you want good grade. Are you doing these things that these blocks clearly say? Right? Are you maintaining the highest standards of morale while accomplishing the mission? Are you motivating and inspiring your Marines? Right? Are you encouraging and engendering initiative? It says it right here. You want an F or a G in developing subordinates in Section F leadership, right? Are you doing this stuff? It's a simple question.
And you know the greatest feeling? I just had this conversation today with one of my old Marines. He's a staff NCO now. I was able to develop him into a staff NCO. When I was in, he was my sergeant. He called me up this morning, just as recently as this morning. He was like, "Hey man, I know you've been out for this long, but do you still remember how to do this?" I was like, I walked him through it. It's like, yeah, do this, and that. And he was like, "Damn, dude, I'm surprised you still remember that shit." It was like, the crazy part is if I was still in, I would probably be in select zone for Master Gunny. That's the crazy part, you know.
100%.
And I was like, and he was like,
because you already had time as a gunny.
I appreciate you calling me, man. Like, makes me feel good that there's still Marines out there that still remember, you know, the knowledge and all that stuff. Like, so my question to you, Isaac, is like, whenever it comes to like mentorship and developing Marines, what advice do you have for other sergeants or even corporals out there in order for them to develop and lead those Marines under their charge?
You gotta. It's an investment. Like interesting. That's an interesting question. You have to really care about the individual. And I feel like all the people that I teach, all the Marines that I receive, like, I genuinely care about them. Like, I care about what we do for the uniform, but outside the uniform, I care about them as a human first. So I'm willing to literally any point in time at all hours of the day help them whatever it is, because I want to see them succeed. I want to be successful, so I want to see them succeed. So I'm willing to do everything I do for myself, and there's a lot that I do for myself. Yeah. I think I'm getting a little bit off topic.
No, you're good. But it's essentially right, because I want the NCO, like sergeant and corporal perspective, because I essentially want to let those Marines know, like, let's say a PFC or Lance Corporal, how to seek out to those, like, how do you find a good mentor? Yeah. Whenever you just get to the fleet.
Yeah, I used to break it down into 3 parts, and you touched on it already. And I know, Albert, it's tough sometimes when the cameras are rolling. But number 1, lead by example.
Yes, sir. 100%.
And what does that mean, right? We're talking be fit, look great sharp, appearance, be good at your job. Okay. Well, once you're done with that part of it, that's the first part. Okay. Now, like you said, now we gotta once we're in a position of leadership, part number 2, make our Marines the most competitive, promotable, squared away people possible in all aspects. And number 3, care about them by getting to know them outside of the uniform. Because I had Marines, I would do every exit interview. I cannot tell you how many times I worked next to Master Sergeant so-and-so for 4 years, and he never even asked me where I was from or what I was doing that weekend, you know? And this is why I tell guys, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
3 areas. You lead by example, make your Marines the most promotable, competitive, squared away individuals possible, and just care.
And I'll say, I like how you broke it down to those 3 things. That's really what it's all about, and you got to just care. So the way I go about it is literally I live by those 3 things subconsciously. I lead by example. Physical fitness, my scores are excellent. Shooting scores, excellent. Everything, not just that.
What'd you say? You can shoot?
I can shoot. I can do it
Okay.
all. Yeah, I said my shooting scores, like my mark.
He's from Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
What is he,
literally
walking around with a freaking,
AR, yeah.
Nah. So all of my scores that the Marine Corps is looking for is off the charts. My appearance is off the charts. I don't fit within the whatever standards, like the body composition standards, but always make tape and weight and stuff like that, or get high enough scores to where I'm excluded. And then I always look sharp in uniform. Like I'm talking about the basic stuff we were talking boot camp, the IPs. You're not gonna see that starch cover. Clean boot, like everything. I look sharp, smell good. So when you see me, you're like, yo, like who's like this guy's a stud. Because if you go on a Marine base right now, most people, they look somewhat fucked up. It's just the truth.
I will say that Isaac does smell good. He is very well groomed, and I know
I got my haircut yesterday just because I knew he was gonna come here.
I know
squared
it
away.
sounds kind of funny, but you say that stuff, but it's important. If a leader comes to the room and they smell bad, you're like, whoa. First of all, bad hygiene is it's a red flag. It can be a red flag, right?
Yeah. So it's like that's the first thing with me. That's the basics.
Yeah.
Then the second thing you touched up on is about the Marines. So like my Marines, as well as like leading by example, if I try to give them as many opportunities as I can. So when there's a board coming up for them to get a meritorious promotion, I feel like, it's a strong performer in our unit or something like that. I'm going to tell them, not only am I going to tell them, I'm going to walk them through how to make the package because I was once meritoriously promoted and I had to make my own package, or I'll make the package for them, or after they make it, they'll bring it to me and I'll revise it. But opportunities like that, I always want to put them up for because they deserve to go on a board and let the board make the decision if they deserve to get promoted or not and stuff like that. And that makes them feel so good to know that you even see that potential in them.
I was just going to say that because what used to kill me was when leaders would be basically like, well, they didn't show the initiative to want to be meritorious, but sometimes, in fact, most of the time, somebody's showing that hey, Isaac, come here, brother. Look, dog, you could really be this guy. I know you may not see that. You're a PFC. You could be this guy, man. Okay, so these are things I really see in you, and I want to work on these things. And then the light goes off in your head like, oh my gosh.
That's a trap.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you
that's
a trap. I'm gonna tell you why it's a trap.
Look how high his eyebrows got.
I'm gonna tell you why it's
he
a trap.
about to start speaking Spanish.
I used to trap my NCOs like that. As a gunny, I used to trap my NCOs like that.
Explain what you mean by it. Yeah.
I used to trap my NCOs like that because instead of me pointing the finger that they're fucked up, they would point the finger to themselves. Because I would ask, like, okay, who are we gonna submit for a meritorious board?
Yeah.
Which Lance Corporal is ready to be a corporal?
Yeah.
Who are we going to submit for a meritorious board?
Sure.
Oh, this Marines are not ready to be Lance Corporals. This Marines. Okay, so what are you telling me? You're telling me that you're not doing your job correctly.
I see what you mean.
Okay. You're telling me that you're not doing your job correctly.
I get what you're saying.
Because
I didn't think that's what he was meant.
Because again, like
you're going. That's some sergeant major mentality.
Because again, I will never be a sergeant major.
You already are, dog.
No, yes, I would never be. I would
look
never.
At your hands are on your hips.
Two of my best.
Look at you. You knife hand me all the time.
Two of my bestest friends are on the board.
You make me come and cut your grass.
I might go to Okinawa to go to a sergeant major promotion. So if you're gonna be in Okinawa, let me know. But no, like that's the way that I used to look at it. I used to look at it as like, so you're telling me that you guys are not preparing these Marines in order for you to take your position.
Sure.
So what are y'all doing? And I will go down the line. Tell me what you've done this week. Tell me what you've done this week. Guess what? Our next assignment is get this Marine ready for promotion. Dude, that happened like the very first, and then that's how you fix a section. That's how you really create a good environment, because now you know that the NCOs have the right mentality of like, oh, okay, got you. So I need to find my replacement. This Lance Corporals, this PFCs, they're my replacements. And you create a healthy relationship within the section, because now you know that those Marines need to find their own replacements within the shop, you know? So I used to trap my Marines like that. I did it like very early on, so that way we can create a healthy environment. Because what I used to do, and this is something specifically you now, brother, that you're about to go to the drill field, which we're about to talk about, and essentially you're going to come back as a staff NCO. I see very good things in your future in the drill field. Like, again, you're the poster child not only for the Marine Corps, like what the Marine Corps is looking for, but also for a drill instructor, right?
He can't help it. It's a San Diego in him, and it's
yeah,
like,
well,
chef's kiss. Chef's kiss, guys.
No, but regardless of, I know whatever unit, whatever company gets you, they're gonna be really good. They're gonna be blessed.
I appreciate that.
But what I was saying was, you're gonna come back to your command, and right off the bat, this is what happens with a lot of people coming off of an SDA in general. They're gonna want to make changes right away. Because obviously,
explain what you mean by that.
They're gonna want to make changes because, remember, the changes first happen, specifically as a drill instructor, in the training pipeline. So somewhere in the training pipeline, changes are happening always, either in boot camp or in their MOS, within their MOS. Because obviously you're gonna go back to be a staff NCOIC somewhere. So what I would suggest to people out there that are in those positions, like they're about to get back to like their staff NCO billet or something, right after an SDA, observe. Do more watching than what you do talking. Because those hard chargers that come back from an SDA, those people, they're obnoxious when they get back. So just make sure that you do more talking. At all levels. I would actually start at the lowest level possible.
Well, yeah, I've been telling guys this for years. He's 100%. You don't have to have all the answers in the direction of what where the ship should go. Sit everybody around a table. Who are you? What's your job? What do you think your job is? And talk to the Marines. What's going good? What's not going good?
Yeah. What can we do better?
What can we do better? What needs to change? Start taking notes and listening to the Marines. Dude, they're going to give you the answers to the test every time.
And I just want to input, not only should staff NCOs be doing this, honestly, sergeants, corporals, they need to be doing this too. Because that's something that made me, that's something that made my leadership really love me, is they saw that I was able to do this at the lowest of ranks. Like, I was doing this as a corporal. I was doing this as a lance. And they were like, damn, they saw potential. Like, I was always basically being the next rank above.
So we do talk about that a lot in the Marine Corps, right?
Perform
to the next higher rank. When you're as a corporal, you should be trying to do everything that a sergeant does.
You need to learn the responsibilities of each rank, and I think this is something that doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah,
because you cannot have a corporal trying to take charge over the sergeant. You cannot. Like, the corporal needs to understand his roles and responsibilities. And when I say corporal, I'm talking about E4s in general, because this applies to everybody in the military. Because if you're an E4 in the Army, or if you're an E4 in the Navy, you essentially have the same. You are a working supervisor.
Well, Sergeant Major Porterfield used to say this all the time. And Sergeant Major Kirkby can speak to this as well. He used to say this when we would get together. I'm not telling you not to be involved in as many areas as you can, but we need to focus hard one level down. Okay? Focus hard one level down. And if we did that, you would see some insane positive change. It would really be amazing. Right? Because what ends up happening is, I am your staff sergeant, you're a sergeant, I'm developing you, but I'm also not telling you, hey dog, you got to take this information and carry the water down to the corporal. And this is kind of what I want you to be doing, what we're doing right now. I don't even say that. I skip that. And then sometimes you do it and sometimes you don't. And it's kind of a mixed bag. But James always used to say, you focus hard one level down. And when he said that, man, it kind of clicked, like, because I would look around, and you'd see a lot of leaders, dude, they're trying to do, you got gunnies way down in the Lance Corporal stuff, but they got Staff Sergeant Billy Goat jacked up like a football bat up here. And as the corporal, I'm like, first of all, Gunny's trying to do my job. Ain't even doing his because Staff Sergeant's over here with the belt cleavage and ain't never at work, always perusing the aisles of the PX, freaking sucking down hard-boiled eggs and, packs of freaking Smarties. And it's like, where, you know what I'm saying? But
where do you come up with this shit, fucking man? Where do you come up with this shit, bro? Like,
but
real.
seriously,
Yeah.
and as a corporal, as a sergeant, that's what I'd be thinking. Like, damn, Gunny, let me do my job. You got Staff Sergeant up here all jacked up. And when James, Sergeant Major Porterfield, said that, that's what clicked for me. And is it everything? No, but I think it's something that's important.
Let me ask you this, Isaac. Have you ever been meritoriously promoted?
Yes, I was meritoriously promoted to the rank of sergeant.
Okay, so
He got serious right there.
yeah, he got serious.
He sat up like, yo.
So what led you to getting meritoriously promoted? Like, what were some key pointers that if you were to just simply point out real quick, like, what were some key things that you feel got you more competitive than the other guy that was at the board?
Maturity, mindset, mentality, like everything mental. I feel like separated me, but not just that, but on those boards, like we discussed earlier, your numbers got it back. Like if you're gonna talk that talk, you got to walk that walk. So I'm talking about I'm an MAI instructor, black belt. Like this is all like stuff that I'm doing as a corporal. There's sergeants that are walking around that have green belts, gray belts, stuff like that. So I'm doing stuff that people aren't even seeking out to do. I'm asking to go on these courses as like at these junior levels of being an NCO. I'm walking around with 300 PFT, 300 CFT. I'm walking around with expert. I'm over here doing the CPP shoot. I'm getting on pistol ranges when you have sergeants that haven't even shot pistol before. Yeah. It's not because they can't. It's because they haven't sought out, hey, who do I talk to go do this stuff? I'm seeking out the stuff that people aren't even trying to do.
Yeah.
So the 300 PFT thing too, I want to just really quickly.
No. I wasn't a 300 PFT. I was like a 295.
It's easy to, but what I noticed was I was a 300 PFTer. It was easy to get over 285, but that last 15 points,
it's tough.
It's real hard.
Oh yeah, that 3 mile like in 18 minutes is.
It ain't no joke.
It's no joke. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think females should have to run it fast? No, don't answer that.
All right, so let me go into a day in the life because obviously you're very successful. I got actually 2 questions for you before I even actually go there. What would you say to those people in social media that would disagree with you? Be like, man, he can't be that mature because of the type of content that you post.
I'll
Yeah, you hit him right. That hit me in the chest.
Honestly, I wouldn't even pay attention to it because it's like, whether I'm behind the camera, I'm not on the camera, I'm the same person. So that's what people fail to realize. The social media thing is just a way for me to show people that you can really have fun and still be in the service. Like everything doesn't always have to be a serious moment. You can be normal. You can have a life outside the uniform. People will call me a labeler. Like they'll label me TikToker or influencer. I'm not a TikToker or influencer. Like I have an influence in real life. Like all because with or without the social media platform, I'm an influencer because of I don't call myself
with or without social media. Isaac the Dream is known from coast to coast like butter and toast. That's what you tell him.
I'm just trying to say the way that I carry myself as a poster boy. I want to be like I'm not saying that's what I want. I'm not doing it for any of that. I just want to be the best. So I just happen to have an influence behind me because of the way I carry myself, and other people want to emulate and get to some of the things I've done or some of the builds I've done and stuff like that. So I don't know. When it comes to social media, I don't think, as long as you're not showing your tail on social media, I don't think social media is a bad thing in the military. If anything, I think it's really good because it gives people an opportunity to really see the ins and the outs of what it really is, instead of always like, no disrespect to a recruiter, y'all are only talking about the good. You're not talking about the bad. You're not talking about the nitty gritty. Like me, I'll make a funny video and the funny video is tailored to show you some of the bad stuff that happens.
Sure.
But we're doing it in a funny way.
It's like a parody on stuff that really happens.
You nailed it perfectly.
Yeah. I wish I would have known that as a junior Marine, as a sergeant and below, because, number one, you're never going to be able to please everybody.
That's right.
You're always going to piss people off. But one thing that I think is really important is if your Marines are laughing, they're listening. And the more you can just be yourself, and I think humor is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I love your page. I love that aspect. However, you are still always going to get haters.
And that just comes with it. That comes with it, and that is what it is. I just on my channel, on my platform, if there's one thing I want people to know, whether you're active duty right now, whether you're out, whether you're someone that's considering it, is my social media is meant to, one, make you laugh, two, inform you and make you more knowledgeable, and three, just give you an unbiased, unfiltered, real, raw, authentic perception of what it is.
Okay, but if I was one of your PFCs and I left a comment on one of your videos, would I have to call you Sergeant? Like, what's the protocol? I don't even know what the, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so they know better. I'm not gonna say yes or no to that, but it's like if you see me in passing, you know what time it is. Like, you're not gonna be like, hey Isaac,
Hey,
like, yeah, like you're gonna be like, hey Sergeant, I saw your video. Oh, I appreciate it, man. You like and comment? Yeah, I did. Perfect, man.
I think that's what 98% of the people would do.
Yeah,
that happened to Tony. Me and Tony, we
Which
went to
Tony?
play basketball. YRF
Wire up
Tony.
Tony.
Got
Yeah,
it.
me and him went to play basketball. He's actually very good at playing basketball. I was like,
Nah, he's trash.
Wow.
no, actually, he was
So
murdering. I got the
trash.
proof. He was murdering people and playing basketball. And he was like, this. You know the message that fucker sent me? He was like, Albert, you're gonna get hurt. I'm like, I'm definitely pulling up now. Definitely pulling
And
up.
did you
now.
get hurt?
No, I didn't get hurt. I was smashing.
Now you make me. We gotta do some
No,
type of.
I hurt my ankle. I'm still recovering, but yeah, we can definitely do that.
We gotta
Now,
do something.
one of the things that I want to talk about is a day in the life, man. I don't think we ever talked about like a day in the life of a Marine Corps sergeant. What are some of the myths? What are some of the realities of what it means to be a Marine Corps sergeant? Because I personally think that sergeant is the funnest, most prestigious rank in the military.
I agree.
which is
Besides
not
Gunny.
true. No, besides Sergeant Major.
No, besides Gunny.
Because you guys don't stop.
Bro, Barry, in the first episode, you were talking about being a parade rest as a sergeant major to another sergeant major. I don't see that as fun.
But I love him and I respect him. Terrence, I love you.
So yeah, as a gunny, I don't know about that.
Well, one day I hope to be both of those ranks, and yeah. So a day in the life of a sergeant, or a day in the life. So when I first had joined, when I told you that I was scared to go to the Marine, or I was going to go to the Marines last, because I thought, okay, these guys are going to die first. I thought that every Marine is a rifleman, but I thought that every Marine from the outside looking in is an infantryman. So if you're someone that doesn't know which branch you want to join the military, don't cross off the Marine Corps, because it's not true. Everyone is not an infantryman. There's other jobs outside of being an infantryman. So you don't every day have to be in the trenches, or every day have to think that there's going to be rounds flying over your head, because that's not the case.
That's a myth.
Yeah, that's a myth.
That is a
Everyone
myth.
is not an infantryman.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
what
then?
did
What's the reality of a sergeant?
So the reality of Sergeant Osei is I wake up at 05 or 05:30. I have a platoon of Marines outside that I'm leading for PT, and we're doing the accountability right there. So that's
is
not
this outside the barracks?
This is outside the barracks. And
Okay.
this is, I'm walking you through when I was a platoon sergeant. Just because right now, I'll tell you my job right now also. But anyways, so we're out there 05 or 05:30 accountability, making sure all 37 Marines are all, everyone's alive.
How do you
and
get
accounted for.
accountability? Is it like we counting off?
Yeah, we're counting off.
1, 2, 3, 4,
They're in a formation.
37.
They're in a formation, and then the senior corporal is the one that is at the head, or he's the one like in charge of the formation or holding the formation. And then after that, he's reporting the counts to me. And then we're at the barracks or wherever we decide, sometimes Page Field House, Camp Pendleton, or we might go to E Hill. There's different locations, but Monday through Thursday. And then on Friday, we'll have a fun PT, because that's how you boost like the camaraderie up, or we'll do like a competition PT. You know, every now and then you got to switch it up. And then after that, 07:45, everyone's expected to be at the shop. Weekly or bi-weekly, we'll do a uniform inspection, and we might do one that like we tell them like, hey, Tuesday this week, a uniform inspection is going to be going on, or we might do a surprise inspection. But the thing is, I want these guys to always look sharp, because you should have, one, it's the basics, but two, you should have pride in your uniform and just like the way that like your appearance in general. So PT, get to the shop 07:45 to we can get off as early as 15:30, which sounds crazy, or as late as like 1800, depending on if the task were done for the day. So we'll go into the bay. I'll get with the staff NCO IC, who's already had the talk with the OIC, and they'll say, hey, Sergeant, we got to get XYZ done. We have a whiteboard. We'll write down all the tasks. Cool, corporals, bring them in because I don't want to overstep my boundaries. The corporals can go tell the message to the lance coolies and the PSCs, like we're talking about overstepping boundaries. So, hey, corporals, bring it in. Hey, guys, we got to go over this, and this. Keep me updated about every 45 minutes to an hour on where we are with these things. If you
what
guys,
would be some of the normal tasks that you would task him out with?
So our normal task is we got to go through all the Delta TAMs today. So it's like radio gear. So make sure that all the A bags are SL3 complete because we need to ECR out 10 sets to 9th comm that's pushing out to the field next week. Cool. Next thing, we need to op check set 56 and set 58 on the VSAT large. Why are we doing that? Because CLR1 needs to ECR out one for operation that they're going to the field in a couple weeks. Cool. Another one is, hey, we need 2 Marines that we gotta send on a tasker, like to go fill area guard or to go fill the gym. Cool. Like there's multiple things coming in at all different angles, as well as a platoon sergeant, you're also still trying to manage and make sure that all of your guys are trained up. So I'm on the computer looking, okay, is this guy have gas chamber done? Okay. Does this guy have swim call done? Okay. Has this guy shot rifle? Hey, why have you shot rifle? Okay, this person has been on limb for this long. Okay, I need their most updated
What's
paperwork.
limb
Limited duty.
Okay.
So I'm this is all stuff that I'm trying to do on top of that stuff. So you're kind of like the nucleus of everything. And
That's a lot going on.
That is a lot going on.
That's a lot of.
To the outside looking in, okay, don't get me wrong, it is a lot going on, but with the system that I have and having a good team and having great communication, you can make a lot feel like a little.
And organization.
And organization.
Yeah, you
That's
had
what
it
it's
all right
about.
there.
That's what it's all about. So I had a great time, and then I also was blessed to have, I guess another shout out, Staff Sergeant Gibson. I had the most amazing staff sergeant that would always put me in high stress positions, or he would give me a lot of his workload. And that sounds messed up, but like, I made it to where he was basically out of a job because I would do so much of the work that he could have done because he was preparing me for that next step and he knew what I wanted. Because I told him that I want to meritoriously promote to sergeant. I told him that I want to meritoriously promote to staff sergeant. I told him one day I want to be a sergeant major. So he made sure that he could do everything in his possible, everything he could do to groom me up and to help me get to that.
You skipped afternoon chow. Did the Marine? What's? Because
Okay.
I noticed that. Because I love.
boy.
Okay,
Good boy. He's a slaver, guys.
No. So I'm a big advocate for work hard, play hard. Because like all my Marines know, like in uniform, we're locked away. But like when we're out of uniform, we're having a blast. And I get to that. I'm not a slayer. Cool. Afternoon chow. I would always let my guys get 2-hour chows. A lot of other platoons didn't, but like, hey, have your chow time because I know some of those guys, they want to, like, their de-stressors are, hey, we're going to use this chow time to go play the latest Call of Duty update. Or, hey, we're going to use this to actually eat. Or some people will come in there sleep deprived. They're like, hey, we're going to use this as nap time. I don't care what you want to do. Go do what you want to do. Some guys want to go get extra PT in. I'm not going to take away that 2-hour time period from you. You can have that. Because at the end of the day, I want my 2 hours too. Even though I didn't always get my 2 hours because most of the time I'd still be, doing different tasks to make sure the platoon is going to be successful. I was willing to do that to make sure that my guys were good because I wanted the well-being for them. And that's one of the principles. Look out for the well-being and the welfare of your Marines.
Sure.
And that's something that I took very dear to my heart because me as a junior growing up, I always had great leaders that took care of me.
Now, okay.
So we're skipping the after chow. What's up, Albert?
No. So what I want to talk about is your unit sounds like they're tasked with a lot of things.
100%. We're comm company, H&S battalion, formerly used to be combat logistics regiment 17. And then we got put under H&S battalion and that became a new thing as of last year.
Okay.
22 area? Was that where you guys were at? CLR 17?
4 and 14 area.
Yeah, 14 area.
14 area. Right next to that, the Fallbrook gate. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Naval Weapons Station.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So the reason why I say that, right, is because not everyone handles stress as good as you do. You sound like you thrive off of this type of shit. So how do you feel about mental health in the military?
Mental health is very important in the military and it's something that shouldn't be overlooked. And I feel like the best way to keep yourself sane or the best way to stay on top of your mental health is to have hobbies and to have things outside of the military. So like for myself, I have a lot of, like, I love the military. I'll never ever talk bad about it, but I'm bigger than the military in terms of, like, I have things that I like to do outside the military, whether it's I'll be involved in the community, whether it be go to concerts, whether it be to go to comedy shows, or whether it be perform and be one of the stand-up comedians on the stage, whether it be me, like, working out and stuff like that, surfing, hanging out with friends that I've made, like living in Camp Pendleton, that go to like San Diego State University or California St. Marcos. It's like I hang out with so many people that are outside the military and do so much stuff that's disconnected from the military that I'm able to stay sane. At the end of the day, I'm able to realize that not only am I a Marine, but I'm a human. I'm a regular person. I'm a regular young adult. Like, well, I got so much life to live. And a lot of people just get consumed. A lot of people don't have the opportunity to really decompress it or really get out of this world. This is all they know. And then you see that turn negative in the future because they get burnt out or they either want to self-harm themselves or they end up being the one that harms another person. Like some of the people like on the depot, like you're stuck in that lifestyle and I'm not trying
That's
to
where I'm going next. I'm going there right now, right? Because obviously you have this mentality of like very good mentality, might I add. How are you mentally preparing in order for you to be a drill instructor? Because that's the next step. So how are you mentally preparing to become a drill instructor?
I'm just staying physically fit. I'm going over the teach backs. I'm reaching out to people that have once already been in that position and asking them about how their experience and their time was. So Barry, I had the opportunity to talk to you before this and you were able to give me guidance and feedback on your time. And I'm doing that with multiple different mentors and multiple different people that had successful tours. And actually, even people that have had unsuccessful tours and that have got booted off the depot, so I can know what to do and what not to do.
Which doesn't mean they're necessarily bad. I saw a lot of guys, and it was unfortunate.
Yes, sir. So I'm doing that, as well as I'm telling myself in advance that this is no joke and that it's not gonna be sweet. It's not gonna be easy. It's gonna suck. It's like I'm embracing myself and tricking myself to think that the suck is gonna be good. Because I know the reality of it. I mean, I don't know until I get there, but I know I'm going to be sleep deprived. I know it's going to be high stress and it's going to be unlike anything I've ever experienced before. So I'm feeding myself and I'm telling myself that in preparation.
So, I mean, what would be, I guess, something that you could tell to military service members right now that are struggling with mental health issues?
You can reach out to me. You always got a friend in me, like they say in Toy Story. Utilize the resources that the military has to offer, like the Oscar team, and don't be scared to utilize those resources. I've talked to the Oscar team before, so I can experience it. They diagnosed me with like ADHD, and they gave me the medications I need. And for other people that have utilized the Oscar team or some of the other mental health resources that we have, like the DRCs and the and some of the other mental health people that work around that space, like they're there for you. There's resources. You're not in the fight alone. You have friends and service members that care about you to the left and to the right of you, and just don't ever feel like you're alone because there's so many people that are here to help you.
What about the people that would say that you reaching out to seek help to the Oscar or to, you mentioned DRC and things of that nature? I know it's confidential, but what would you say to them that, hey, the moment that you reach out, like your career is pretty much over?
That's a myth. I don't want to say it's a myth, but that's a stretch because that's not always true. If you're going, depending on certain people you talk to, if you're telling them that you're having suicidal tendencies or you've already had an attempt, then that information may get exposed to a higher echelon, and then there may be repercussion in terms of ad stepping you or whatever. But that's not the end of the world. Say that does happen to you and that falls on like into your category. There's more to life. Like this ain't it. This ain't the end all be all. But for the most part, I know the Oscar team is confidential, and I think also if you talk to the chaplain, it's confidential, or he'll give you the option on if you do want this information to be broadcasted to your leadership. If you give him the say so, then he or she will do that.
Yeah. The only thing I'm gonna tell to commanders is don't be retarded. Don't be retarded. The reason why
Best advice to COs ever.
Don't be retarded. Let me tell you why. Don't be retarded.
Okay.
Don't put the Oscar in the battalion building where everybody can see that you're gonna be talking to the Oscar.
That's good actually point. A great point. And thankfully it's not like that. It's not like that. Thankfully.
Yeah, there's some commands that have like common sense, right? But there's other commands.
I've seen it where literally the command deck of the command
QR code.
Literally, it's the command deck right here, all their office spaces, and literally right down the hallway you have the representative for mental health. So it's like you can see.
Yeah, it's like,
Right,
okay, well, I haven't.
right.
And then the thing is that usually in those command decks, you have the duty. And the duty, if you don't work there, he's going to ask you, how can I help you? Well, I have an appointment here in mental health. I was like, okay, well, there we go. And now everybody, what I'm saying? That's what I mean.
I think that's a good point. I remember as a brand new sergeant major working with one of the leaders of the Oscar team. Her name was Kim. And that was where I developed my new join questionnaire. And I went over this new join questionnaire with literally every single new join that we got. And, some of the questions were just, they were basic. Like from the top of, what was your check-in process like? Was your room ready when you checked in? All the way to...
Oh, I used to get so pissed off at that, dude.
Well, yeah, and all the way to, who's the one person who's consistently shown up for you throughout your life, If tragedy strikes or you win the lottery, who are you calling? How many hours of sleep a night have you gotten? Which leadership trait is the most important to you and why? What are some hobbies you have? And like when I would get done with it, I would, we'd put it in our little mentorship jackets and I would ask the Marines, what do you think about this questionnaire? And it always, every single time, this gave me the best impression about this unit.
And that's something that we gotta touch up on as leaders, like at all levels, but especially at the higher level, is they need to go back to really, if you really care for the Marines the way that you say that you do, then you need to start making this stuff more of a priority, because without the Marines, there's no nothing. There's no mission.
Yeah.
There's no nothing. So
well, we threw
the Marines are the mission.
We threw
100%.
the question in about how many hours of sleep a night do you get? Because I remember a scenario where this particular command was trying to ADSEP a Marine because he had continued to be UA, and come to find out he had like a very, and this is gonna sound stupid, I know we got some old timers out there, but very serious gaming addiction. And this guy was staying up all night, and he'd sleep through all the alarms, and he really he was struggling, and when it came out, it was like, okay, wow, we could have been a lot more involved right here. Not trying to take anything away from the Marine as far as accountability that was there, but addictions are real, and we have Marines out there right now that are struggling with them, especially with alcohol. We glorify the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Right. So
And
that's
nicotine.
amazing. Yeah, that's good, dude.
Isaac, we got, we've been talking for about 45 minutes already, if you can believe it.
no, time flies when you're having fun.
Time flies. Brother, I am very excited for what's to come. I'm glad to see that Marines like yourself are essentially going to be training the new generation of Marines. Hopefully we've all learned things. Hopefully you learn things as well here,
Yes,
coming to the podcast. Brother, how do you feel about the future that's about to come now in drill instructor, as a drill instructor?
The future is bright. I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to stamp my mark on this organization if I make it through drill instructor school, when I make it through drill instructor school, and I can't wait. And I'm honored to have been able to get invited to y'all's podcast. It's been great. It honestly doesn't even feel like 45 minutes, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main gripes that we get from our followers. Is like, man, you guys left so much on the table. But listen, guys, the A2B podcast ain't going nowhere. I promise you guys that we're gonna continue to bring him. Maybe we bring Isaac back whenever he's a drill instructor and he gets put on quota or whatever, and he finds some time to come back on the podcast to see how his drill instructor experience has been so far. His voice is probably gonna sound different.
Hey guys.
So we definitely, I definitely look forward to having you back on the podcast, brother. So like we're having YRF Tony on the podcast again.
You got to bring all of us back.
Yeah.
All of y'all back.
All of us together.
I don't want to tell them what you told me, but you got to put that together.
Yeah,
Something unique.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. We got to do that. We can talk about that off camera, so that way we can start planning that, and we can start promoting that, because I think that's gonna be the hardest thing, right? It's gonna be promoting it. So yeah, brother. Guys, like always, make sure that you guys like, follow, subscribe, and leave a comment. What do you think about this podcast? Who do you want to see next on the podcast? What questions do you want to ask Isaac over here? Make sure that you guys understand that this podcast is made for you and by people that are just like you. The only sponsors that this podcast has is Ramos Capital, is my real estate business, and Noble Fitness. So make sure that you guys go and show some support to us, guys. Barry, where can people reach out to you at?
I want to say thank you, Isaac, for coming. And, you know, the whole time we've been talking, and Albert's right, we can't cover everything, and even in 2 episodes. But guys, if Isaac doesn't, inspire you and let you know that the Marine Corps is in amazing hands, you got to open your eyes.
Yep.
There are so many leaders like him in the United States Marine Corps. And I know sometimes we hear just the bad stuff and the train wrecks and the dumpster fires, but these guys are in there keeping their heads down, doing the job, and they are developing the Marine Corps. They're out there doing the job. So I want to say thank you, brother. And it was amazing having you on the podcast. You know what I'm saying?
I just want to say I appreciate it.
And hopefully we can get you back, and maybe we'll be at the graduation. You know what I'm saying? When you're up there,
yes, sir. That's in
you
June.
Take that.
Oh, he didn't invite us yet, Barry. Don't invite yourself.
I will, 100%. I'll be there. When you do that drill instructor creed, these recruits are entrusted to my care. Guys, thank you for tuning into the A to B podcast, the Albert and Barry podcast, the Asshole to Belly Button podcast. Excuse my language for the little kids out there. And I mean, when I say little kids, I mean everybody other than the Marine Corps. Find me, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way when we drop fresh, tasty, juicy content, okay? I'm not talking about Albert's Only Friends. I'm talking about the A to B podcast, okay? Drop a comment. We love all the support, man. It really means a lot to me and Albert. Instagram, @bull5277. TikTok, @bull52772. Click my links. There's a ton in there. Schedule a call with me. The call is free, and the change will last you a lifetime.
Isaac, where can people reach out?
Isaac the Dream, ISAACDADREAM, on Instagram, on TikTok, or in real life. If you guys see me, I'm an open book. If y'all need anything, I'm here to help.
Awesome. Take it away, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Nah, I appreciate y'all's humble comments.
You're going to crush it, dude.
Yeah.
Those were amazing episodes.